Officer here at Union Community Care. Union Community Care is a community health center, which means we provide physical health care, dental care, social services, and behavioral health to everyone in the community. Personally, I serve as the leader of a healthcare organization that serves the most vulnerable. We serve sick people every day. So I was the leader at the helm during a time when there were more questions than answers, when we couldn't get the equipment that we needed to keep our staff safe, when it was a challenge, when the prices were jacked up 200%, and worrying every day that the decisions we made were truly life and death decisions. So my team and I, we committed to doing the right things from the very beginning, and it started with keeping our staff and our patients safe. But in the midst of doing that as my job, I also had to deal with it through my family. And, in May of last year, my nephew, his name is Michael, he's 27, he got COVID, and he died at 27 years old. So this is not just an exercise, it's not just an experience, that I worked through, but it's an experience that I lived through. And Michael was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful young man in the prime of his life. And there is no reason that he should be dead today. So this disease does not discriminate. And so I think that's why it's so important for us to understand that we actually have a tool now to prevent future deaths, to prevent getting seriously ill from COVID. And that tool is a vaccine. So, the partnership between Patients Are Waiting and Union Community Care has been in existence before the pandemic. We are aligned in our mission, which is to grow more representation among healthcare providers of people of color, and to ensure that they are in the pipeline and supported to be able to go and change the world as doctors and nurses and healthcare professionals in hospitals and community health centers like Union Community Care. When it comes to the vaccination effort, we knew that we could do this together. We could be stronger together than either of us could be alone. So we were able to support Patients Are Waiting to provide these pop-up vaccination clinics in the community. So we are going to community, not expecting them to come to us. And we are providing vaccines by folks that they know, folks that they trust, in places that they trust. We're making it fun for families to come out and get vaccinated. It's not a scary thing. We want to make sure folks don't feel like it's a scary thing. And it is really part of ensuring that our communities stay strong and that they stay healthy. Well, the reasoning behind it is because we have a shared purpose. So when you have a shared purpose, it is really, it's not a question, it's a how can we make it happen? And it's funny, but Dr. Hamblin and I have never met in person. We talked many times via phone and via remote, but because of the pandemic, we just couldn't connect in person. But really what we're trying to do is the same. So it was a non-issue. As soon as we were in a position that we had resources available, we reached out to them. We were able to execute a contract for these services right away. And by not providing so much red tape that it makes it impossible for a small nonprofit to participate, we were able to have them, be able to start this work really quickly, and they've done just a fabulous job. The mission for more equity is part of what's core to us, and it's core to them, so we're naturally aligned. When you look at who has gotten COVID, communities of color have gotten COVID more, they have been infected more, and that has to do a lot with the type of work that we do. So not all of us have jobs where we get to sit at home in our pajamas and work and get paid. A lot of us have jobs, we have to get out in the public. We work in jobs where we're interacting with people, therefore we are more likely to be exposed, and that's exactly what happened. So I would just share that communities of color, we have been more negatively impacted, but we're strong. We have been strong for hundreds and thousands of years, and we will get through this. We will come on the other side. A lot of us will have broken hearts, but we will get through this. We will get through this. And I think do what you can, get vaccinated, make sure that you get the people that you love vaccinated, that you encourage your friends, that you get good information. And if you're not sure where to get information, come to Union Community Care. We have doctors, nurse practitioners, providers with decades of experience, and they live here in the Lancaster community. You can trust what they say. So come and see us if you have questions about the vaccine, and be part of this community as we move forward, because we will all move forward, and we'll do it together, and we'll be stronger.
Good morning. Wake up, guys. It's TCP in the morning.
Wake up!
Wake up!
Wake up! Wake up!
Wake up! Wake up!
Wake up!
Wake up!
Wake up!
Wake up! It's TCP in the morning.
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 It's TCP in the morning. It's TCP in the morning.
TCP in the morning.
It's 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 TCP in the morning.
Good morning. Wake up, y'all. It's TCP in the morning with the morning tea.
Sing the song here in a minute.
TCP in the morning.
Well, hey, let's welcome to the welcome to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, wake your ass up, brush your teeth, brush your ass. Your morning team is back. Hey, we on? All right, folks. Just want to let you know, welcome to TCP in the morning, the best thing that you can have in your cup. Sarge, what up, man? How you doing?
What up? How you doing? Happy Tuesday. Glad y'all tuning in. If this is your first time, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Hey, listen, you don't know, but you're in for a treat, buddy.
Yeah.
It's that time. Let's
Dig
go,
it.
baby.
Yeah, dig it. And to let you all know, as you see, it is Tie Tuesday. So we hope that you all have your ties, whether you go by male, whether you identify as female, or they, them. Hope you got your tie on today. Lady L got her blazer on, so I guess that's okay. But she's rocking the Morgan State, and that is always all right. Lady L, what up, though?
Good morning. Hey guys, thank you for watching and thank you for tuning into TCP in the morning, your place for melanated news coming straight out of Central Pennsylvania. Listen, go on ahead, share the stream. Share the stream is crazy because when we do this show and we have black people from Central PA and other parts watch the show, I love it because it really just shows that we are community. We do have shared commonalities, lifestyles, even thousands of miles apart from each other. So come on through, watch the stream, share the stream. This is a family-friendly morning show. We got history for you. We got guests for you. We even got some critical race theory for you. If you into that, is that even a thing? I don't know. But tune in. Thank you for watching. Share the stream. Show some love to your TCP in the morning, your melanated morning. news team. Over to the desk.
Over to the desk. Folks, I would like to introduce myself. My name is, some people call me Marcus Lupton, but the correct way to say it is Marquis. But people in the hood call me Marquise or Keese. Add the Lupton for a little bit of spice. Also known as DJ Quiet Storm.
DJ Quiet Storm.
One of three hosts, one of four personalities on this thing we call TCP in the morning, the best thing that you can have in your cup. Giving you the news that you need, giving you the news that you did not know existed with a little bit of shimmy. Hey, shimmy. Get it? Break it down. Here we go. Let's not forget about, hey, DJ Double O.
Call DJ T-shirt. DJ T-shirt.
Hey, man. Hey.
We've only been doing this for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Hey.
We haven't been doing this Tuesday tithing.
This was a rough morning.
Well, you know,
little different for me.
like we say to the kids
now in the morning.
like we say to the kids, hay is for horses.
Excuse your tools.
And we can confident. Those who don't, yeah.
Those who recognize their needs will never monuments of excuses.
Y'all know my natural response for everything. Hey. Hold up. That's my natural response for everything. I'm always happy to be here.
Yes.
For y'all in the comments. I'm always going to say something. If you ain't saying nothing, I'm going to say something to you.
Yes.
But everybody that I see done said hello or something to go, so let's get these people the news, man.
Yes, let's give these people the news. Good morning, folks. Don't be rude. Say it back. Let us know who you're listening with, how you're listening, and also who you with.
Yes, IG. Y'all be watching. I need y'all to comment. So let us know where you watching from. What part of the country are you in? Are you in Pennsylvania? Are you in Philly? You in Pittsburgh? Are you in Hawaii? We want to know. Let us know.
Yes.
Good morning.
Yes, and don't be a weirdo. Don't be a looky-loo. Say good morning to you. So, Taekwon, good morning. Neville, good morning to you, good brother. Ruby says, good morning, I'm on my way. Ruby Tuesdays, as you all know. Sabrina, good morning. Lisa, good morning. Hello, everyone. Again, welcome to TCP in the morning. You could have been anywhere else on Facebook, but you decided to be here with us today. And for that, we say thank you, good morning, and adieu. Let's go, folks. We have a jam-packed show for you today, like we said. So there's some issues with the IRS and side hustles. We're going to deliver that bad news, unfortunately. Hawaii says, yo, we ain't playing no games, America. We ain't playing no games. You have to be vaxxed and boosted to come to our island.
And like, they American. Hey, listen, you know what's not American? You come to this island unvaccinated.
Don't be un-American and come here unvaccinated. Do the right thing, America.
Well, I guess we should hurry up and take a trip now while we got the first boosters before we on booster number 12.
Well, you know what? That's a good point. We are vaxxed and boosted once, so let's go.
Listen,
yeah.
Popeye doesn't just stay strong off one can of spinach, all right?
That's a good analogy.
All right, I'm just saying. Doesn't stay strong off one can of spinach. You can boost it every now and then.
Yo. I always had a question, like, yo, if Popeye was black, would he be eating a can of collard greens?
Yes. I would prefer collard greens over spinach. Let's be honest.
So, right.
Oh, but if
would it be cabbage?
Maybe if you made spinach more like the collard greens, right? You know, you put them in there with some meat and everything. It might be a little bit different.
There's no way to make spinach taste like good.
I think that nowadays, you know, with a gentrified Popeye, he'll be eating kale. He'll be eating kale.
And it's dry.
I was about to say, it's not even in the can, it's dry. He's just picking it up off the earth.
He tears it open.
Right now, Plankton would be making way more money than the Krusty Krab right
Straight
now.
up.
Than Mr. Krab.
Good morning, Lancaster County Collabs. Good morning, Lancaster
Good morning.
Good morning, Orlandra. Good morning, Makeup and Magic.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, Gary. And good morning, guys. Good morning, IG.
And on the Facebook side, good morning to you, William. Rebecca, good morning to you. She says, looking so smooth today. Thank you kindly. We appreciate that. Corinne says good morning. And then Rebecca says, raw kale smells so bad. Indeed it does. Folks,
Like
we
chitlins.
are going to give you what you need and going to give you what you want.
What is that?
And something in between as well. So, I think it's
Y'all
about
know
that
what
time.
it is. And if you don't, bounce with us.
Bounce. Hey, 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 hey. Got it. Cooking up the news for y'all. And then we're going to deliver it. Hey, let's give it to them. Time to give the people, yeah. Give the people what they want.
That's the news.
With a shimmy.
Thanks for stopping by. Folks, our first story for today starts in Virginia. Yo, let me tell you this. I always thought that I wanted to move to Virginia because I was like, it's not too hot and it's not too cold. It's in the perfect situation until now. So, this comes from News One, folks. New Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin unveils day one. Day one didn't even waste 2 hours. Executive order banning critical race theory. During his inauguration, he seemed to strike a civil and even bipartisan tone, but a slew of executive orders released by the new governor says otherwise. New Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin signaled his commitment to extreme conservatism with a slate of executive orders passed quickly after his inauguration. During his inauguration, he seemed to strike a civil and bipartisan tone. Immediately after taking office, Youngkin issued 11 executive orders, with the first 2 items on the list a ban on the teaching of critical race theory in schools and, get this, mask mandates, folks. So, this can't be shrugged off as simple ignorant people not wanting the real history to be told. Allowing the showdown around critical race theory to persist unchecked would be a mistake, he said. The wide interpretation of what is considered divisive and the continued false narrative of niche legal concept being taught in K-12 classrooms need to be addressed. Racial justice and equity advocates continue to debunk anti-critical race theory rhetoric and stress the importance of inclusive history. The Virginia-based Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Fairfax has hosted a series called Teaching Truth, Putting Students First, which featured a teach-in Saturday commemorating Reverend Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. The conservative obsession with critical race theory and efforts like the 1619 Project is not about improving education opportunities and limiting divisiveness. Across the country, book bans and curriculum restrictions represent a backward trend focused on protecting the fragile feelings of people, certain people in America. Republicans like Youngkin are quick to claim their commitment to restoring the public trust, but people like Youngkin always fail to acknowledge their role in undermining the public's trust. So, folks, some of these executive orders, executive order number 2, delivers on his day one promise to empower Virginia parents in the children's education and upbringing by allowing parents to make decisions on whether their child wears a mask in school. Executive order number 3 delivers on his day one promise to restore integrity and confidence in the parole board of the Commonwealth of Virginia. This sounds ridiculous and scary. We will put the tweet in the comment section that outlines all of this. And they say, simply put, critical race theory will not be taught in any school, anywhere in Virginia. And I think that the kids lose out on this. The students, the law schools that they were actually teaching critical race theory in, now are going to lose out because you have a pretty good law school with the University of Richmond there, and you got William and Mary in there as well. So like there are some, nationally regarded law schools that this is going to make stuff a lot more difficult. Sarge.
All right, I look at it like this. This governor, he's getting in there and he thinks he's gonna do something. He probably ran on everybody being bipartisan. That's what he ran on and bring everybody together. But as soon as he gets in there, he does this. He's a lot like Governor Wolf in the ways that he can't do anything. Like he can want to do a whole bunch of stuff, but he can't do anything because the Dems control the Senate. All right, Republicans in Virginia control the House. The Dems control the Senate. So it's been a back and forth thing down there in Virginia. It's going to come back to him. I don't understand why his first thing would be to jump in there and handle critical race theory and all these other things that are targeted at nothing. When the biggest things going on in Virginia, the biggest problems they have are going on, their habitat loss, the development pressures, invasive species, pollution, climate change, fire exclusion, water, and their energy problem. So he has a lot bigger issues. Jumping in there and saying you're going to take the reins and you're going to just ban critical race theory and get it out of here. It's stupid and I don't want to say it's unprofessional, but it's very unprofessional. It just shows your colors of who you are. That's the way you're jumping in there, like on some Trumpism stuff.
Yep. Authoritarian. That's what that's what we're seeing here, and we see it now go from the highest office with Trump to now it trickled down to the states.
Right.
Where,
So I was going to say, we used to be in class and had these conversations about fit and culture fit and, fit for the job or, have that fit. And so for Youngskin to talk about this, he said, yes, we will teach history, the good and the bad, because we can't know where we're going unless we know where we come from. But to actually teach our children that one group is advantaged and the other disadvantaged simply because of the color of their skin cuts across everything we know to be true. What? And this is the part about there being two Americas. The fact that Youngskin also said Virginia will not teach children to view everything through a lens of race. That's a problem. And I'm going to tell you why it's a problem. Because then you're saying, if you're not seeing race, then you're saying everybody lives the same kind of lifestyle that I did. Everybody lives the same kind of way that I did. Everybody grew up the same kind of way that I did. Not knowing that race, class, economic status, all of those things are going to play a part. And you can't begin to talk about those things until you address the first part of the elephant, right? So what if we have a society that was built on racism, that was built on one group of people being over the other, then you teach that history. And you teach how we were able to transition. And you teach the fights that happen in between those times of transitioning. What you don't do is say, yeah, we're just not going to talk about it and ignore it, or we're only going to talk about it in bits and pieces, because I don't understand how you could ever talk about the Civil War and not talk about race. I don't understand how you could ever talk about the Reconstruction era. Reconstruction, where it was believed that's when the KKK started, the Reconstruction era. Right after the Civil Rights Movement. Right after the Civil War. Right? So then, how are you not telling these stories? And what's the issue with sharing these stories and having critical thinking sessions with our children about it? About what they can do next time. Maybe sharing stories about where they've seen themselves experiencing something racial, or when they themselves were the bad person. Let's do that. Let's open up these kids to that. Let's stop playing this game of everybody gets a trophy. Let's stop playing this game of, we all the same, because we're not. Maybe if we lived in a different country, but it definitely ain't happening here in America, and it was built on that. And we can't move forward if we have governors like this man in Virginia telling us to hide it, to ignore it, to not discuss it, to leave it to the parents. We saw what happened when we left it up to the parents to talk about pregnancy prevention and sex and STIs. And that led us to a whole generation of teen parents. Come on now. Over to the desk.
All right, let me hit these comments They like, yes, Lady L, go off. Venus says, hey, what's going on?
What up, Venus?
Dr. Bishop. William says, it's crazy how critical race theory is used as a dog whistle by right-wing media. The political conversation I have the most right now with the county white folks is actually trying to teach them what it is and debunk the Facebook Fox News ideas they have. And that's so weird that they double down on that because we live in an information age. So if they really wanted to know, only thing they have to do is ask Siri to get, a 2-sentence soliloquy that debunks everything that is being spewed. But here's the thing, though. Did they talk about people in pain? Some people just like to hate. Some people just like to have anger towards something, towards a group. Some people, they're heavy racist. Some people are light racist. And you know what? This gives them credence to be racist. And it gives them in their mind, oh, well, this is why I think that way because this is happening. Just like with Trump. Trump said what, a day or two ago? That if you're white, you're not allowed to get the vaccine. Like this is the craziness that is being spewed to these people. Comments, I am sorry. Melody says, I am confused. That is a problem. Karina, good morning to you. And then Melody says, they don't want to teach that history because then they have to admit it and stop doing the things that are giving them an advantage currently. And yeah, that is true. Keisha says, good morning, TCP. Melody says, facts, Keisha, some people love to be full of hate. Lauren, good morning to you. Like I'm saying, some people just love to hate. That's their comfort zone. If they're not hating something or hating on something, then their balance is off.
Like I look at it like this: Virginia's diversity. All right, Virginia is made up 67.63% of white people alone, and 19.18% of black people, followed by Asians and then Latino. It's not as diverse. It's not near as diverse as we are as America. America is the melting pot, and it's actually 10% more than what America is as a whole. So you have to you have to become more diverse in your way of thinking. You can't just clearly think about one race and one race alone. You got to be open to thinking about all races and discussing why it needs to happen. So,
right, Lady L.
So I just I have my notes here. It's just a little disheartening. Especially when he came and he made these executive orders and everything like that. And banning these school lessons that define racism as an institutional problem that's embedded in American society. That's what that is. That is a conversation that millions of Americans have in their households daily. And let me ask you this, IG, do you guys have conversations about racism, about it being an institution? Do you have those conversations in your houses with your children? Right? So it would make sense for the schools to continue that conversation, right? The parents set it up, schools knock it down, right? It's a two-part. And this is how we're supposed to tackle this. However, it just seems like this new governor he has one thing on his mind, and that's divisiveness, that's white supremacy, and that's building out, honestly, the hate that he has. Because there's no way that you're saying we can't have these conversations on race, but we expect us all to come together and be a racial harmonious country. That doesn't make sense. How can you can't have one without the other. You can't have people be empathetic and sympathetic if they don't know what's going on with the other folks, or if they can't admit their own stuff. Here's the thing. I think that by keeping this conversation about critical race theory, it then keeps us in the dark about having a further conversation about reparations. Because that then opens it up. When you really start having a serious conversation about how trifling America is and what it was built upon, and you start asking for reparations for what has happened, because black people still haven't gotten it. Japanese people got it. Did y'all know that Americans put Japanese citizens in concentration camps in America? Did you guys know that? And did you know that they then got reparations for that? Did you know that? Did you know that black people still haven't gotten anything? And we still fighting for voting rights acts. And now here we are fighting a frivolous thing, right? This CRT. If you teach history the way that it is what it is. It's not a critical race theory. It's just racism that built a country. And that's what it is. And let's start having that conversation, Virginia.
And we also, like, we criticize other countries for doing stuff like this to their educational system. So then aren't we doubling down on this, state propaganda? Like, isn't this the same kind of thing where we're banning books? Now we're banning whole curriculums. First of all, curriculums that weren't even going to see the light of day in an elementary school. Like William said, this is a dog whistle because they don't want any kind of black anything being taught in school besides what? The basics. Harriet Tubman,
Martin Luther King,
and slavery. And just scratching the surface of slavery. Blacks were slaves, Civil War, then they got free.
Right. We're not even talking about Nat Turner. Or the fact that why are we only led to believe that there was one Nat Turner? If there was a Nat Turner and a Harriet Tubman, you best believe there were more of them.
Or even the whole idea behind cowboys. Like, you talk to some Mexicans, cowboys were never white men.
80% of the cowboys were black.
Like, and that's a whole thing. That's a whole thing. So, Karina says, the political powers that be don't want an end to racial capitalism. That is a great point. And then Sabrina says, I'm going to read this before we get to our next story. Sabrina says, they will continue to teach history in a positive light for the winners. Growing up, I didn't know what Christopher Columbus did to my ancestors. All I knew was he crossed the ocean blue and accidentally landed on some island thinking he found India. And Keisha says, the fact is, RIC, who wrote it? Was it us? So, folks, we are going to take it to our next story. But yeah, the Virginia governor is trash. And there's going to be more of a assault. And I'm looking at institutions like a Hampton University, Norfolk State. There's going to be more of an attack. And I'm looking at those HBCUs out of fear because they just got a real kick up in funding. And we already see day one, this governor did not wait. His racism did not wait. The night before, his racism was like, we gonna get him with this
was like
one.
this. He was like,
just busting up the seams.
Wait till you say something. Busted out was it K Superman?
Yeah. KKK.
It was like,
yeah. All right. So, Sarge, next story, please.
All right, guys. We talked about a little before the new year. We talked about what Venmo, Cashapp, how any transactions over 600, how you're going to be getting something in the mail. All right. Well, beginning this month, online business owners who sell their goods and services through sites like Venmo, Etsy, and Airbnb will be sent tax forms if they have received payments of more than 600. Recently, tech companies have notified users of impending changes and asked them to submit tax information. Until this year, the threshold was much higher, 20,200 transactions, so it didn't affect nearly as many people. Venmo said in a message to its users, this requirement only pertains to payments received for sales of goods and services and does not apply to friends and family payments. The new modification to conduct business online triggered a collective outcry on social media. The once low threshold allowed Americans to jump into entrepreneurship. 5.4 million people started their business last year, according to the data reported by the U.S. Census Bureau. The changes directly conflict with President Joe Biden's promise to tax wealthier Americans. Maybe it's a boon to the IRS, but it's not coming from the billionaires. It's coming from the smaller businesses. Sandra O'Neill, a tax attorney and partner of Bowditch and Dewey, said in an interview with Bloomberg, it's much harder to go after the billionaires. It's much harder to go after Amazon. If you have someone who makes a mistake, a small business, it's very easy to go after them. Apps, marketplaces, and payment providers reported payments to the IRS for users that received more than 200 transactions, totaling over $20,000 in value in a particular year. The new $600 baseline that transpired last year as part of the American Rescue Plan that the White House announced to issue relief to small businesses affected by the pandemic. As a result of COVID-19, service providers like hairstylists became self-employed rather than work for commissions in established salons. They relied on PayPal Holdings, Inc., Venmo, and Blanc Inc.'s Cashapp to accept payments. This adds insult to injury. Knowing how long they were shut down for and how much income they lost, said Rector, whose group says it includes 10 million hairdressers around the world. These people went out on their own. They started to do house calls. They started to rent chairs. That's why Venmo became such a big deal. Well, we're going to stop right there. That's it. All these, is it a way for the government to get more money?
Yeah.
Do you feel like this is a grab? Like Joe Biden came in with like a Robin Hood type thing. Yes, we'll rob the rich to give to the poor. Or not even rob, take from the rich to give to the poor. Then he's here, psych.
We're taking from the poor to give to the rich.
Yeah, let's still take from the poor. And the rich, you just stay rich.
Look, after this story, I have a note here in my notes to call him Backbiting Biden. That's my note here. Backbiting Biden. And so it's crazy because last year, he said he wanted to provide the IRS with additional resources to address what they call sophisticated tax evasion. And his first step was the tax administration efforts is a sustained multi-year commitment to rebuilding the IRS, including nearly $80 billion in additional resources over the next decade. This is what he wants to do to rebuild the IRS. But not only that, but he wants to get more information from third parties. So agencies or job employers that do W-2s, that's a third party. They're looking for ways to get more forms submitted by employers because they found that when employers do it, there's a 95% rate of return. Without the third partiers, it falls below 50%. So without a job, nobody's reporting taxes or anything like that. It changes significantly. But this is a fun fact. Currently, the IRS relies on systems that date back to the 1960s. Now, we can't be surprised because when unemployment and all that stuff happened with COVID, what were we doing? Operating on systems from the 1960s. And I mean, like, these systems are so old that there's like one person, two people in the entire country that know how to operate it. It's ridiculous. But I also wanted to point out, so in 2019, the IRS admitted it cannot go after wealthy tax cheats because it doesn't have the resources. And I'm saying this because this is why they're coming after regular Americans.
Right, because they have the resources.
Right. Right. Americans owe. So here's the thing. Americans owe a cumulative of $131 billion in unpaid taxes. This is enough to fund the Department of Education for 2 years. And the bulk of that money is owed by the wealthiest people in our country. But the IRS isn't trying to get money from them.
No, they crack down on Cashapp.
Right, they're trying to get money. So most of the tax cheats are coming from people who make more than $400,000 a year. With this new bill and what they're doing, they're targeting people making $20,000 or somewhere around that. So that's who they're looking to get to. They're looking at regular Americans. They're looking at people who started all those new businesses, all those people who are selling NFTs or people who are, they're looking at them.
I'm seeing people do a whole bunch of $599 transactions.
A bunch of different accounts.
Oh, right. Like, look, send $250 here and send $299 here. And we'll do it just like that.
Right. They had the IRS commissioner confirmed a letter to Congress saying that the agency literally can't afford to audit the rich. So it's pursuing the poor. And now with support by Backbiting Joe, they coming for your Cash App. They're coming for your digital money.
Look, we can't. He has a lot more in the works than things that are stalled. All right, so as of right now, Joe Biden, if we look at his, go to PolitiFact, and we look at his track record, his promise tracker. All right, so 16% of his promises are kept. 3% of his promises he had to compromise. He stalled on 24, and he has 46% of his projects are in the works. All right, so one could say he's trying. He's trying to make something happen, but
Right, 46
if you
is
want,
in the works.
go to PolitiFact.
You can put that in the comment
Yep,
section.
I will drop it in the comment section. But listen, we have to keep our president in check. We have to keep our people in power in check. And things like this, like a promise tracker, you can hold them accountable because you can think about everything they said. Because we're in a day and age of technology, so everything they said is recorded.
Right.
We will always remember that. They can't lie about it later and go, "What? I didn't say that," or "It's just politics." No, it's not just politics. You said it, you promised it. Hey, where's it at? What are you doing to make it happen? All right, that's what we got to do.
Right.
All right.
And like, yo, if we look at the PPP issue and how that was exploited, like that was exploited by a bunch of rich people. Like, it's not the side hustlers that are trying to, outsmart the IRS and everything like that. Let me tell you, every single side hustler that I know, every person that has a side hustle, they don't have no account in the Cayman Islands. They don't have no, Swiss account or anything like that. That's not even in their language yet. So to double down and to go after these people when you made a promise, oh, we're going to tax the rich, they need to do their part. And in your first year, like, this is like it's disgusting, and this is where Democrats lose people, because it's like, yo, this wasn't even a part of your campaign
platform. You didn't say anything about this.
Anything about this, because none of you did. You would have lost handily. We'll be talking about President Trump right now.
Right.
So but I'm looking at the future. Like, how many people that were on the fence and swallowed that pill and said, okay, you know what? I'm just going to vote for Joe. I'm going to swallow this pill. Now, where's their mindset? Because we're coming up on another election. It's midterm. Yeah. So are we going to see just this, mass upheaval of Democrats in the House? Because that's what it honestly seems like. You start coming after these side hustlers, like, yo, they have a side hustle because they're not making enough money with their main hustle.
They're not raising minimum wage.
Right. So now you're going to tax, like, wages are low. Everything costs more. So now you're going to tax me for trying to circumvent what you're doing to my economy.
They're getting us coming and going because, like you said, they've raised prices. And now they're coming for our side hustle money. And what?
You still dragging.
What have we got?
Right, that's our grocery store money.
Right.
And it's crazy because if you got an Airbnb, and when you think about some of the side hustles that they talked about in the main article, it's like you're coming at people that's literally trying to come up in the last 2 years.
Right.
Airbnb? Are you serious? How many of those videos started circulating and say, hey, you can own an Airbnb and start getting paid tomorrow and you ain't even got to own the property?
Right.
You're coming after those people. The people talking about, oh, you got an Etsy shop. Why are you coming at Miss Lauren making her candles? Why are you coming at somebody doing their bundles of sage? Why are you coming at somebody selling those crystals? They were out there in them streets looking for all that stuff, doing all that work, and you're trying to take money from them. They don't have 12, 35 employees.
Right.
They're trying to make enough money to pay their bills and be able to sustain their side hustle.
Have this side hustle pay my rent, so then from my main hustle, my rent money is play money.
My problem is this, all right? You have all these things that you could be doing again. All these things you could be doing. Listen, we could raise the minimum wage. Why has minimum wage been raised? Women, voting rights? Why are we still blocking vote? Like, why? Colleges going up in these cartels, these school cartels. where they're making people seem like they're prestige better than other people because they go to more expensive schools.
And schools are being sued now for limiting financial aid. Like there's just so much. So much.
And who does all this stuff hurt though? Black and brown people the worst.
Like where's the legislation for these mass shooters? How about that? Because
the gun legislation they keep ignoring.
Because we have more of a mass shooter problem than a side hustler problem.
And a critical race theory problem.
We've had the biggest attack on our Capitol, January 6th, 2021. A year later, we still don't have legislation against it.
But we got legislation against Cashapp.
How new is Cashapp?
Make it make sense, man.
Domestic terrorism, like they're just now getting on board with that. There's still not a whole unit dedicated to domestic terrorism.
Right.
There's still not legislation put out against it. We talk about it. Or we're going to have a group. We're going to have a little powwow where we can pay the heads of this, and this to come together and talk.
Well, maybe the backbiting Biden administration, maybe the plan is to take all the poor people money and they'll have enough money to actually go out and audit rich people.
Why not just develop systems to get rich people?
Right.
Like, we know this is a problem for how long? How long has tax evasion been going on for people making over $400,000? How long?
Forever.
Forever, right? Forever, right? And we still haven't reinvented the system. We still haven't tried anything new to get to a point where we're actually taxing these people the correct way.
But the thing is, though, America's not dumb.
And this is what I'm saying.
And that's the most like frustrating thing about it. Oh, we can't figure it out. Are you kidding me? Like, this is the same country that sent people to the moon with technology of a TI-83 calculator. And y'all are telling me that you can't figure out how to get these tax sheets? It's you don't want to figure it out. Right. That's what it is.
They're funding your campaigns. They're major corporation owners and donors. And
there's reasons, like, they're supposed to get money. You're supposed to made a promise to get rid of a private funding to federal elections. All right, we're not doing that yet. We're worried about taking money from people who have to try and make money on the side because their job doesn't pay enough, because this way of life that we were taught that we need to live doesn't pay enough, and that we're dying and killing ourselves and not getting to spend enough time with our families. So by me spending the time to hustle and grind for myself, I'm wrong and you want to tax me for it.
Ridiculous.
If I'm already paying you taxes from this job that I'm doing, why do you want more money?
They're taxing you for the food. They're taxing you for the clothes. They're taxing you. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? They get you coming and going. They're trying to get the money you get and the money you pay.
Right.
Knock it off, Prince Henry. What was his name? Was it Prince Henry from Robin Hood? Who's the bad prince?
I just know of the sheriff of Nottingham.
Yeah, don't send him our way.
Getting to the comments before Lady L's story. Man, yeah, y'all are on fire today. I love it. Man, all right. Keisha says robbery. Mary says good morning, early riser here. Good morning to you, Mary. Candace says good morning, TCP family. Candace, Good morning to you. Tell your husband stop acting shady and jump on the stream. William says, look at the things the people running in the public primaries in PA are saying. If we don't vote, they'll bring it here. Yeah. I have nothing else to say besides yeah. And I'll just say, well, let me get to the comments. Melody says, this ish really burns my biscuits. Absolutely. Keisha says, it's in the writing. And then Rebecca says, this really isn't a change for business owners. You should have been claiming your income. Venmo and others will only be notifying the IRS of $600 plus transactions. If I pay an assistant cash up until they reach that $600, then I have to claim it and provide a 1099. Rebecca, I hear you, and that is the official way to put it. You know, that's the official way to do it. You know, especially if you have a side small business. But I'm looking at you know, the artists, you know, the painters, you know, the contractor side hustlers, Lady L, the Mr. Tonys of the world, and everything.
People cooking dinners,
right?
People making dinners and stuff.
Right,
like everybody
right,
trying to do something.
Right. Who make their money and don't want it to be taxed because their margins are that thin. They're that thin. So I hear your point. You know, but not everyone falls in that, you know, official title. You know, like the article says, it's going for the side hustlers, those that don't do the 1099 versus those that do.
How do you ever expect to get ahead in life if you can't do any side hustle to save money to put underneath? You know, stick money underneath your pillow. Like you want my shoebox money.
My shoebox, yeah.
Why do you want my shoebox money?
Right.
My rainy day fund.
I'm giving you my work money. I'm paying taxes every day I go to the store. Every day I gotta pay for gas.
I cut hair on the weekend. Like, yo, leave that alone.
Leave my shoebox money alone, bro.
Keisha says they are bigger than the government. Talking about the rich. Rebecca says if you don't make more than $5,000 a year from a business, you don't even have to claim it. William says working class, help us. Keisha says honest folk, flip the script. And then Rebecca says that PPP didn't help side hustlers. PUA was for us, and that was a rude joke. That was a very, very rude joke. Melody says, right, leave my sage and bundles and crystals alone. And then Ruby says, and ironically, they still say this is a capitalist country. Hustlers embrace the free market economy like no other. Keisha says, oppression. And then Sharice, good morning, Dr. Hamlin. She says, side hustle is such a misnomer. People are working on the side because people aren't making enough money working their tails off. Great point. Keisha says, good show, urban media. Love it. Lisa, I was waiting for your tax expertise to come in. Keisha says, with that 1099, all you need is expenses to bring down that income amount so you're paying less in taxes. Rebecca says, key words here is single transactions. Key words. And then Cherie says, for all the side hustlers, get legit. Filling a DBA costs $72. It sucks for sure, but we need to get info to our folks to claim their side hustle and get the business expenses claimed. And then Lisa says, your expenses can bring the income down to $0. Material, supplies, cell phone. Oh, and always go with cents per mile over gas spent. So, man, educating this morning. I love it. So, Lady L, if you could take us to our next story. Please.
Absolutely, and I kind of feel like it kind of goes well with what you all were just talking about. With like building business and side hustles and things like that. So did you guys know that immigrant business owners are the key to supercharging our economy?
You don't say.
Listen, right. I am saying it. I'm saying it. So I think that that's a great way for us to become more of a tall salad. I don't like this idea of America being a melting pot. I've always liked the tall salad more. But the U.S. was named the world's
this
most...
This morning show, man. I tell you, this morning show, yo.
The U.S. was named...
United States need to be more like a tall salad.
Yes. Than a melting pot.
Not
right.
tall salad, man.
Right. Well, because when you think about a melting pot, everything is like assimilating into each other, right? So I think of people of culture, people of color losing pieces of themselves in the assimilation. In that melting process, right? So I don't want nothing to melt. I want tall salad. So all the pieces, the tomato's still a tomato. The lettuce are still lettuce. They still crunchy. You know, they didn't get all soggy. So yes, the U.S. was named the world's most entrepreneurial country in 2021, thanks in no small part to the talent of our foreign-born entrepreneurs. Research shows that private sector job growth is significantly higher in regions with more startups and they created more than 3 million new jobs in 2020 alone. More than half, 55% to be exact, of U.S. startups are worth $1 billion or more have at least one immigrant founder. Immigrants are also 80% more likely to start a business than those born in the U.S. I wonder why. And that's a whole conversation that the hood has all the time. Those businesses create 42% more jobs in this country than those started by native-born owners. But America isn't the beacon of hope for immigrants it once was. Immigrants are also 80% more likely, antiquated immigration policies continue to present obstacles to foreign-born founders. The fundamental issue is that the U.S. doesn't provide a specific visa category for startup owners. Hundreds of thousands of immigrants compete for a limited number of visas. We are also starting to see the long-term effects in the lack of meaningful reform. Over the past decade, immigrants have turned to countries where startup visas are more easily accessible, like Singapore and the UK. Last year, in May of 2021, President Biden reinstituted the International Entrepreneur Parole Program, which allows admittance for foreign-born entrepreneurs who can prove they will offer significant benefits to the public. I'm gonna take a break there because that is the IRS taxes all over again, backbiting Biden. How you gonna say you wanna help immigrants achieve sustainability here with their businesses, but you're reinstituting a program called the International Entrepreneur Parole Program? Nothing about parole in America is ever a good thing. Even when you're on parole for your job for the first 3 months, it's never a good thing. Which allows the admittance of foreign-born entrepreneurs who can prove that their business will offer significant benefits to the public. Who can prove? One of our foreign-born brothers who has a business here in the States had talked about he had a SCORE mentor. And he's an immigrant, and he said, hey, I want to start this business with food and everything like that. SCORE mentor says, no, that's not a good idea. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't see Americans wanting to go and do that. And how many times have they heard that? Right? Because now you're trying to sell your idea or product to a person that it's not actually meant for. It's not. You give us mentors who aren't even knowledgeable in people of color, who aren't knowledgeable in our background, our culture, or anything. So when we come up and we're like, yeah, this would be a great business idea, they're like, what? That's not a cool business. What? And then we all have these conversations amongst ourselves in our echo chambers. We need this. We need that. We need this. We need that. Because when the entrepreneur of us went to SCORE, went to the business people, went to these loan providers, they gave us their butt to kiss. They gave us a whole bunch of rigmarole. They gave us these rules and regulations. They said, you got to have this, you got to have that. And it just turns people away. It turns people away. And another way that immigrants are also finding a way to stay here is that they come here on school visas. But don't worry, because when school is over, they got to go back home. And that also becomes an issue, is that they come here for school, they're great, they're talented, but they can't keep them in the country after graduation. And then also not only that, but now the visa process is more lengthy, processing times are longer, and so the U.S. is having a disadvantage in retaining skilled international student workers. So they're not giving them entrepreneur visas. They're not letting them stay on their student visas. And now they're going to reinstate this entrepreneur parole program as long as you can prove that your business idea benefits the public. Does my restaurant count as a benefit to the public, or does it have to be health and sciencey or engineering, and now we get into that whole rigmarole. But let me go ahead and share this with my co-host. We also have Ruby in studio as well. So I would love to get some of your take on this immigrants making America.
Listen, first of all, we had immigrants came to America. It's the whole reason that the Indians got pushed the whole way through they went through the Trail of Tears and why we did Native Americans like that. But getting to this, immigrants make this country. Immigrants made up of America. That's what America is, a country of immigrants. And you have so many people who consider themselves nationalists, right? We know what nationalist is, right? We know what they are. But who consider themselves that, they consider immigrants need to get out of this country. Immigrants are doing more for the country than citizens. I mean, besides terrorizing it. All right? So 80% are more likely to start a business, and they create 42% more jobs. They're doing their part. Why does America, like Americans, we're so cocky. Like we think we're it. All right? Listen, oh, you want to come to this country? Oh, you have an idea. Well, you want to stay in this country? Prove to us why you would be significant to stay in this country. Prove to me why I want to stay in this country. What? Try to keep me. Tell me why I should stay. Because I can go to any other country, do what I'm doing. I can go to another country and make more money. I can take my talents there. America, we're so cocky. Like we have to get over ourselves.
Right. Rebecca says, lady.
Mic's off.
All right, here we go. Rebecca says, Lady L, how about a parfait? Everybody loves a parfait. And then she says, are you boys 14? We're actually 17. You can hear the 17-ness in our voices, especially when we talked about tossed salad or rim jobs. Sharice says a salad would suffice. And it has a laughing emoji, tossed salad. And Rebecca says, I am literally sitting here listening and working on my business tax paperwork. Yeah, and then Sharice says, that's why we need information. In big, bold letters, she puts information. This right here seems like, hey, we kind of knew that this country is built on migrants and what they bring to this country. We know that. Again, to piggyback off of Lady L, just finding new ways to tax people without taxing the super rich, and that's just the unfortunate happenstance of what's happening here. We're seeing time and time again. If anything has let you know anything about working class people, these last 2 years, we make this country go. We just like America runs on Duncan, America runs on working class.
You mean we didn't live off of that? We didn't live off the what was that little check we got?
Oh, the stimulus.
Yeah. No, the PUA they just talked
we
about.
Live off all that?
No.
Well, you know what? I don't know what happened because when they randomly just canceled it all, they said this was going to get America back to work, and still. Unemployment rate is still at like 4 or 5%.
The only thing,
what did it do? Except you just stopped giving people money, and good Congress, you played yourself. You thought you were smarter than the working class American. We've been broke. We've been here before.
I should say, you notice the companies that aren't complaining about they're not having workers. They're companies that have raised their wages. Mm-hmm. Companies raise their wages to $20 an hour to start.
Right.
They're not complaining about having a shortage of workers.
Not at all.
Hey, follow suit.
Right,
Nope.
right.
They still giving service with a smile over at Chick-fil-A. I haven't been there, but I'm sure they are.
The lines are too long.
The lines are right. The lines are still long, so they must be still servicing with a smile.
Yeah, they're quick though.
Well, I'm a Blazing Jays man. I don't do Chick-fil-A hate anymore. Yeah, Lady L. Can you let the people know about our Black Lady Doctors and what is coming up and what is going to be in store?
Oh my goodness. Well, listen, guys, there's a lot of stuff going on. So the first thing I want to tell you guys about is that this Friday is actually week 3 of the Health Equity Music Festival. So come on down, Christmas Addicts, get your flu shot, your COVID vaccination, or your booster. Not only that, you can also support our Black Lady Doctors by purchasing, they have books for their book club available and other cute little stationery items representing patients are waiting that you can purchase there at Crispus Addicts. So yeah, that's taking place this Friday at Crispus Addicts Community Center for the Health Equity Now Music Festival. All right, so that's going down. That's the first part. The next part I want to share with you is that you know that their mission is to eliminate health disparities by increasing diversity in medicine. And so beginning next week, the Pipeline to Dreams high school program will be starting. So you can go ahead and we'll put that link down in the comment section for you. But the point of this program is a 12-week program for high school juniors and seniors to get hands-on healthcare experience, to expose high school students to the concepts of health equity, research in various health fields, and to also challenge them to think critically about health disparities, to create and present a research proposal. This is for high school juniors and seniors who are interested in the healthcare field, another program organized by our lovely Black lady doctors over at Patients Are Waiting. And so, yeah, so that's going down. We will drop that link down in the comments for you guys. And you can also visit their website at patientsarewaiting.com. All right. Now we're going to shoot it over. I want to welcome our lovely guest because it's Tuesday.
Hello.
So welcome to Ruby Tuesdays on TCP in the morning. Good morning,
Hello.
Ruby.
Good morning, Lady L. I wanted to talk about the immigrants. That is amazing. I think there's a lot that we have to talk about in terms of American education. I think that's a huge part of it, right? Like, once we went to No Child Left Behind, we're just teaching our kids to follow the rules, pay attention, get a C, and graduate. And that's crazy.
What? C's get degrees. Remember that? Used to be a thing. C's get degrees.
C's get degrees, right? Like, so that's the same thing. Like, we teach our kids to follow the rules, play along. We're building masses of workers, right? Like, these are all worker bees. We try to teach kids, sit still when you can't sit still. We give them medication if you can't pay attention in class. Like, all of those things, that's not your natural who you are, right? Yeah. But we want you to conform. And at the end of the day, we graduate kids who are ready to go out there and be in the workforce. Not to be entrepreneurs, not to be independent, not to be individuals that are out here trying to make a change in the world. We train our kids to just go out there and get a check, right? Like, to get a job. And that's why we're seeing immigrants come through and take chances, right? Like, because they're coming from countries where if they don't take a chance, they're probably gonna die, right? They're probably gonna die of starvation. Hustle comes from, I'm hungry, right? Like, the very beginning of being a hustler comes from, I'm hungry.
Gotta figure it out.
Figure out how to feed myself. And so when you have immigrants coming from poor countries, they're just trying to find another way to feed themselves, right? But the innovation and the ingenuity and the creativity is coming from those folks because we're not teaching our kids to be creative and to be creative problem solvers and to think beyond, you know, these are the two colors of the crayons. Oh, I can make a third color. You know what I mean? Like, we're not even thinking. We're like, that's black, that's white. You can color in black or you can color in white. Yep. But in other countries, no. They're like,
right. And I think that as you spoke on that, I think that's space for a conversation on access to capital and building business in America. Yeah. Because I know growing up in the hood, we have a lot of, you know, what they call poppy shops or the Chinese stores. And then that would then be a discussion within the community. Well, why are there 13 Chinese stores? Why is there a poppy shop on every corner? So then that then is a conversation within the community of, okay, well then how can we as Black and brown people, like, we live in this community, how can we get capital or access to capital to have these businesses ourselves? Right. There was, I like to do these things called hood tales, talking about Black business in the inner city. Mm-hmm. And there once was 4 Black businesses on one block. Have no idea what happened to them. No idea, right? But the poppy shop is still there. The Chinese restaurant is still there. But the little mini grocery store is gone, or the hair salon is gone, and the penny candy store is gone, or the summer water ice stand, like, and it was just weird. And I think that deserves a larger conversation, because also the Black people who own the businesses literally lived in a community. Mm-hmm. Some of the poppy store owners, they lived in a community, so the store was the basement of the house, and they just lived upstairs. Mm-hmm. So they were a part of the community. But then you have other people who are from Abington or Montgomery County, and then you bought this piece of land, and now you opened a store, and it's different. It's different. But I would love for us to have a larger conversation as people of color, as people who are historically oppressed by the concepts of white supremacy, and how can we build to better our communities? Because at the end of the day, I feel like people of color, we all still keep having these similar life experiences just across the board.
Yeah. And the chance takers, I think, are different, right? Like, I think that if you grow up in this country, again, there's a mindset that I'm supposed to follow the rules. I need to do what I need to do to get ahead. And there's a certain way that you go about stacking paper in this country and getting ahead, right?
Yep.
Versus in other countries, there's the communities, there's a self-selection, right? Like, if you're leaving another country to build the American dream, you're already a bold, risk-taking, daring individual to leave what you know, your language, your background, your food, and come to this country to start fresh, right? Like, so you're talking about a group of people that are already gonna take a risk.
Yep.
They're already stepping out into the light, so.
Oh, right. All right. So we're going to kick it over to my handsome husband co-host as we move forward to this next story, talking about how to make progress and making change.
Well, making progress and making change. This is definitely something. This next story is about the pastor that rubbed spit on a churchgoer's face. Enjoy this flick, and we'll be back on the other side to talk about it.
Knowing what's coming. God's saying, can you physically and spiritually and emotionally be able to stand when getting the vision or receiving it might get nasty? I'm going to say it in a point just like that. Receiving vision from God might get nasty. You mean, God, I just bought in crazy faith. And do you hear and see the responses of the people? What?
You've been prayed for. You know, you've had oil put on your head. You might have had anointing oil put on your head, and you know the difference. Like you know what it is. But like I feel like there's a message. You know, did you really need to use spit? Is that how you need to get your message across? Like, if that's what God told you to do, okay. I mean, I guess some of us don't hear him the same way.
Well, I think that, I mean, if you think about it, the message was what? He was saying what? Sometimes, getting a message from God or what have can get nasty. It can get nasty. And I guess that's what he was trying to show, was that it can get nasty. Now, I don't know if that's code for sometimes God like spits on us so that we can make it to the next level. I don't get, that messaging. But I think that it was the idea of the nastiness, the grossness, right? Listen, I mean,
well,
they lay hands on you, do what you do, but
folks, let's get to
this is why Muslim people don't touch each other. Muslim people don't touch each other. Dude stands in the front, the rest of us are behind him. That's it.
So this article comes from the Griot, and it says, an Oklahoma church leader shook up the internet on Sunday after a video of him rubbing spit in a man's face during a sermon went viral on social media. Pastor Michael Todd of Transformation Church in Bixby, Oklahoma, was standing on stage with a reportedly blind male churchgoer when the application of bodily fluid occurred. Some of Todd's followers said on social media that the blind man is Todd's brother. Todd referenced a New Testament Bible story about Jesus healing a blind man during his vision sermon on Sunday. The pastor's message to his congregation was about maintaining faith in God's vision and process even when it gets nasty. Todd's address reached climax after he coughed up phlegm and spat in his own hand and rubbed that on the churchgoer. We see in the video that Todd spread enough spit on the male congregant's face to leave snot hanging from the man's cheek. Onlookers in the church congregation groaned as the display unfolded. So, yeah.
And this whole time, I thought this was going to be a conversation about God's natural immunity. Like, I was like, oh, he's just trying to make a new kind of herd immunity. That's all. It wasn't even related to the virus.
No.
I'm so confused.
Well,
now.
I mean, the positive is that he did apologize. Pastor Todd, he did. He posted on his social media acknowledging it was disgusting when he wiped spit on another's face to illustrate a point. He said, it was gross. I want to validate everybody's feelings, he said, apologizing and encouraging people to watch the full message. That was a distraction to what I was really trying to do.
Like, seriously, I'm holding back so much. I'm like, really? And he was blind on top of it. Like, I really just think this was a moment where he wanted to hold his brother down. Like, you know how you do? Like, you hold your brother down by your knees on their chest and, like, you spit and then pull it back and then spit and then I feel like it was, like, another, like, brother on brother, like, hate crime, you know? Like, it was just stupid. I'm like, what? Did he just try to trick his brother? That's all that was.
Look, he's wrong. He's wrong. Like, I don't know. Did you tell your brother, hey, listen, I'm going to do this thing to you? It's not really spit. Did you tell him it was going to be something else? Or because I have a hard time believing your blind brother agreed to let you spit loogies in your hand and smack him with it. Like, I don't. And I want to know at what point in time, like when, who were you with that you talked about? Who did you run this by? Like, who did you go, hey, let me rehearse this sermon for you. I'm going to have my blind brother come up here. I'm going to go, hey, brother, sometimes the message of God is nasty. I watch Jason Ventura when nature calls. I seen I say I like you. All right, if you like me, tell me you like me. You don't spit on me. Like, I can't get over this. In churches, people already have a hard enough time going to churches.
Right.
People have a hard enough time accepting there being an actual spiritual power above themselves. Some people have a hard time believing that.
Right.
All right? And when you do, and when you see things like this happen, you see a pastor who can do this to his own brother who suffers from a disability and can do it in front of everybody and knows it's going to go viral, and you go, well, I'm sorry. Well, I tell you what, the message of me is nasty. I'm punching you in the face. That's my message.
Pastor Michael Todd has since tweeted since that video has been released, and it says that it's never my intention to distract others from God's word and the message of Jesus, even with illustrations.
When did Jesus ever spit on anybody? Anointed with oil. I've heard that a lot. I've never heard rubbed a loogie on your head.
Right.
Well, I guess that church is innovative and advanced. They said, screw the oil. My body is the temple, so why not just use my secretions?
Right. And then he continues
God,
to
that
say,
was the only secretion he came up with.
He continues to say in the tweet, I apologize for my example being too extreme and disgusting. I love everybody. #represent. To the comment section, we got y'all blowing up. Keep them coming. Like I said, keep them coming. Rebecca says, stay away from Chick-fil-A. No one needs their hater tots. Keisha says, exactly. Knowledge and integrity feed your own regardless. Knowledge and a good name is what I'd rather be chosen. Takesha, hey Takesha, good morning. She says, wait, what? Yes, but not spit. What the? And then has a shocked emoji face. Rebecca says, God would have known that wasn't a good idea for me. We would have fought right at the pulpit. Yeah, exactly. Sydney, good morning, Sydney. Sydney Pollard says, in New York, that's a fight. Yeah. Might be a whole Timberland stomp out if it happened in New York. Cindy then says, spit in COVID times? No. Keisha says that's uncalled for. Taekwon says this is the worst. Karina says red flag. Janet Simmons, good morning to you. She says he needs to sit down. Keisha says sounds like he took advantage of his prestige. Ooh, great point. Karina says, is he really remorseful? Taekwon says, fire that man. Stop going to his church like yesterday. I think that, and again, this is just me projecting here. I think that he knew what he was doing.
Absolutely. That's premeditated.
Yeah.
Dude was blind. He knew he wasn't coming for him.
Right.
You know?
Right. Like, and he just stood there. I trust my brother. Like,
right.
If it was somebody, and now that I see it unfold, if it was somebody that knew, like, yo, if you're about to have spit rubbed on your face.
Hold on. His brother definitely heard the.
Yeah. Especially he's got those super sensitive blind man hearing.
But
he heard that.
He
heard that. Your brother's gonna
rub spit on.
But also, like if he's the big brother, you know, it's roles, right? Like if my big sister was doing some dumb shit, I would be like, all right, whatever. I got my eyes closed. She's putting blue eyeshadow on me. It's the way it is, right? That's the big brother. That's the big sister.
If your big brother, if one of your siblings says, hey, close your eyes.
I have an idea.
Turn around. I got something in my hand.
No.
It's a part of my message. I need you just to be cool with it.
No.
I love you guys love your family? I love my family.
Yeah, to death.
There is no member of my family. Like, my 2-year-old, like, nephew, nieces, baby nieces, they go, and I'd be like, oh, it's so cute. All right? Everybody's getting it. You're not spitting in your hand.
No, I'm
not a baby, all right? I'm not a monster. Oh, I love that.
Well, if they slobber,
you're not letting nobody spit in their hand and whack you in the face.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I don't think that he knew that it was coming because he didn't flinch. Like, if you knew that spit was coming on your face, like your first instinct would be like, all right, here comes the spit. Oh, all right. I'm gonna stay still this time. All right. Like,
there's people that pay for that.
What makes the same man think that I can spit on my hand and wipe it on your face?
What?
God. I mean, God told him.
Who said
right?
it?
That's how that works.
Taking advantage of his prestige.
You know he did. He's like, hey, brother, I'm gonna give you some money. You ain't gotta worry about nothing for a while. We gonna go big with this one. No, like it.
Yo.
Listen, he could have paid somebody. Like, people will pay you. Somebody could have paid him to spit in his face.
Yeah.
Like, people pay for that. And you're doing it to your brother.
In a church.
But also.
To prove a God point. I'm still not getting it. No.
Did anybody know before today and in America, please interject here. Did anybody know before today who Pastor Todd was?
No.
Yeah, I caught some of his stuff on Facebook before.
I never knew. So then that's what, one in 5 people, you know, that know who this guy is. And you know, y'all know that I'm like churchy but not churchy. You know, so like I know my pastors.
Like, almost like you were forced to go to church.
Yeah,
like,
right.
You went to church.
I'm a church kid. You know, mom's a bishop, Dr. Mom, and everything like that. Like,
yep.
So like I know my pastors, and this dude was not on my radar.
No.
Until the whole spitting debauchery.
Really? No, I thought he's like a young pastor with like what's the thing
Innovative
that
ideas.
like I was gonna say he's motivational. Like his story things are like motivational, and he has like little like video clips.
Is he like a goal casting kind of guy? Is he on goal casting stuff? Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever watch him again.
Yeah, you can't unsee that. You can't unsee that. That is just to the most.
I'm sorry, you can't do that to family. You did that to your brother. I can see it with somebody you didn't like.
Right.
Even then.
Who says he likes his brother?
True.
You know, everybody's
time to take care of you.
Message
from God.
To the comment section before we get to our 5th story of today. Rebecca says, you know his wife didn't know about this. She would have had put a stop to that nonsense. Agreed. Takesha says, I agree with you. Lisa says, I'm telling. Keisha says, and assumed he could pay it away. Gary says, good morning, tax all churches. Love that Gary and true Gary Brown
Gary, you stay
form.
right there. We got another story coming.
Right, yeah,
Don't go
Gary.
nowhere.
Don't turn that dial. Keisha says, public humiliation for publicity and credits. And says, credits, I'll pay the fine. Let's do it. Takesha says, no, I don't think he had any idea. I'd be hot. Gary says, pastor's getting what he wants, everybody talking about it. Yes. That's small town mentality. I say tax all churches 5%, and we can solve this homeless problem. Good idea. Takesha says, never heard of him. So that's 1 out of 6. 1 out of 6. Karina says, I tell you what, I've been in some boring sermons. This one I remember. Straight up. And if I was a kid, I'd be like, yo, we going to that spitting church again?
Yo, Mom, I want to see you spit on that guy again.
Yo, and like to a point.
Pastor's gonna pray for you today.
Yo, I would mimic Pastor Butcher in school. So because was a PK, was a church kid.
Yeah, we
so
knew it. Everybody knew it.
Right. So I could just imagine how many kids on Monday was like, let me bless you.
You know it was a
It's
thing.
about to be a game. It's about to be a TikTok game.
Just like Rebecca says, it's about to be a TikTok challenge.
It's about to be a game. All right, let me see if I can spit my hand and smack him. How fast if I can get away?
Yo, people are gonna get beat up.
Yeah, well,
Like people are gonna be.
Thank you, Pastor Todd.
Right.
We just developed a new variant of COVID.
The Todd variant.
Right, the Todd.
Well, no, since we need to get back to Greek letters, it's going to be the tau.
The towel, yeah.
There you go. Well played.
Oh, man. All right, so, Sarge, if you could take us to our next story.
All right,
please.
listen.
Gary, this one's for you.
Yes, Gary. Listen, we're gonna listen, Mike Topp's doing this for black churches, maybe.
I mean, he's a black pastor and did it to a black man. So I guess it was at a black church.
Oh, man. Well, a new effort to preserve these historic black churches in the United States have received a $20 million donation that will go to help congregations, including one that was slammed during the tornado that killed more than 20 people in Mayfield, Kentucky last month. Lilly Endowment, Inc., which supports religious, educational, and charitable causes, contributed the money to the African American Cultural Heritage Action Fund as seed funding for the Preserving Black Churches Project, according to the National Trust for Historic Preservation, which launched the fund. The announcement about the donation from the Lilly Endowment was timed to coincide with the Martin Luther King Jr. National Holiday on Monday. Rather than simply replacing broken windows or straightening rafters, the project will provide assistance with things including asset management and helping historic churches tell their own stories, said Brent Leggs, executive director of the fund. St. James AME Church was founded in 1868, just 3 years after the Civil War, and crumbled by the Mayfield Twister. It will receive $100,000 as the first recipient of the project's special emergency funding, Legg said. With its sanctuary virtually destroyed and only 15 or so active members, all of whom are older, St. James AME needs all the help it can get, said Reverend Ralph Johnson, presiding elder of a church district that includes the congregation. Black churches served a vital role after the war ended, and black people no longer were considered the property of white people. Once the slaves were freed, one of the things they wanted to start was a church home. They wanted to work out their spiritual salvation and have a place to congregate, and they also were used as schools and other things, he said. Black churches have been a key element of the African American community throughout generations of faith and struggle. And preserving them isn't just a brick and mortar issue, but one of civil rights and racial justice, Legg said in an interview. Historically, black churches deserve the same admiration and stewardship as the National Cathedral in Washington, or New York's Trinity Church, he said. Trinity, where Alexander Hamilton and other historic figures are buried, was near ground zero and became a national touchstone after the terror attacks of September 11, 2001. In all, the project plans to assist more than 50 black churches nationwide over the next 3 years, including some that are vacant or set for demolish or are struggling with inadequate funding, aging members, and dwindling membership. While active congregations are the main priority, funding can also go to old church buildings that now house projects like community centers or treatment programs, Legg said. Oh, man. Then he also goes on to say, it still stewards the legacy of the black churches, but for a new purpose, he said. The Action Fund has raised more than $70 million and has assisted with more than 200 preservation projects nationally. It was started by the National Trust for Historic Preservation. Unite the Right also inspired this at the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017. This fund is calling itself the largest ever attempt to preserve sites linked to African American history.
I have like 1,000 things I want to say right now, all at one time. Go ahead. My ADHD is on fire. So like the number one thing is like anytime I hear that when grants are given to the government to be administered to churches, that gets me bananas because right away I'm like, well, where's the separation of church and state there? Where is the separation of church and state? Like that, number one. Number two, and I'm just going to say this, y'all, because I love you so much. The Christian churches are also part of the structural subjugation of African Americans in this country. I'm just going to say it the way it is, right? Absolutely. Like this is the white man's church. This is the white man's beliefs. I was raised Muslim. I was raised in our church, so I feel like it's a completely different vibes, and it hurts me. I mean, it really bothers me because you brought black people over here, took them away from their religion and their true identity, gave them yours, and said, it's pie in the sky at the end, but slog away here in our fields because we run everything and this is your God now. And so it breaks me, right? Like every time I reread that autobiography of Malcolm X, I always try to remind people to do that. Do that. Reread that. Take a second look because there's a whole nother group of people out here that are God-fearing and believe in God and that are our people. So I got that to say about church. And I'm a preacher's kid too, right? Like my mom's the president of this Islamic Society and I grew up religious but not religious, right? Like I know all the stuff, I know all the chapter and verse, I speak Arabic, I can translate, I can do all this stuff. And I'm not the most practicing, I'm really not. But as far as being someone of color and being raised in Islam versus being raised in Christianity, and then I minored in theology, I went to Villanova, know about all the Catholics and stuff, and I just firmly believe that everybody of color needs to take a second look at their roots, where they come from, and where this money goes. And if you're paying taxes and this money is going to churches, I don't understand that either, you know?
Yeah.
So I got a lot to say. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, actually, so this is an interesting concept, but I fear that the CRT people will come for this Lilly endowment, right? Because what do those churches represent? What do those buildings represent? Well, first of all, we couldn't go to church with white people, right? So then why were those churches built? Well, so that we could go to church ourselves, right? And so what's happening inside those churches? All we need is for a governor, a state representative to go sit inside and hear some pastor preach. And if they sound anything like some of these more militant pastors that are out here, that are encouraging people to protest, that are encouraging people for civil disobedience, I can't imagine what would happen to their buildings, right? Because not only is the black church, I don't go to church today for spiritual well-being, right? I mean, that's what people go to church for. I go for the history lesson. And not all pastors give you that. But there are some pastors that will give you a history lesson and will teach you about the American justice system, about policing, about some of our history here right in the sermon. We talking about Leviticus chapter 8, 9, 12, whatever, and they will still talk about some black man getting shot in South Philly and correlate that to the scripture.
Shout out to Pastor Uncle.
And so I am afraid that with stories like this, with programs, with entities that are built to give money to black institutions to continue, right, they're in for trouble because white supremacy doesn't want that to continue, right? That's why we're not allowed to teach black history in schools, or why we can't teach American history from the perspective of black citizens, right? We can't do that here. And why can't we? Well, because the white supremacy that structures our entire government and society here in America, we're stuck and we're limited.
Well, I think with this, it's actually going to do the opposite. I think that it's going to exacerbate, it's going to increase the educational aspect of your critical race theory. Because if you look at this executive order, this is in schools, colleges, universities, and everything like that. This isn't extended to churches. So now I can see churches, because they got this extra funding, now trying to fill that void of educating others about not even really critical race theory, but educate them on what is actually happening and happened in this country. I think that we're going to see kind of this throwback approach with churches, and them once again being like that pillar to build your community off of. Because in the civil rights era, like, we didn't have no fancy places and clubs and everything like that to go to. We went to the barbershop, beauty salon,
or
and
church. The community room in the church.
And the church was probably a shack somewhere.
Well, look,
And at this point, the Muslims are just teaching everybody Arabic in their church. So we're all speaking a secret language now. So come on in. Everybody's welcome.
As of
Cover your hair.
January 31st of 2020, only 2% of the 95,000 entries on the National Register of Historic Places, the list of sites that deems worthy of preservation by the federal government, only 2% of them focused on the experiences of African Americans, which was reported in the New York Reveals. So the widespread failure to preserve African American history is itself rooted in America's history of racial injustice.
Yeah.
So it's there, only 2% out of 95,000.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's like
crazy. That's
like
just
100
super crazy.
100 locations or less.
Yeah, and when you think about it, like, I don't know, you guys, everybody here didn't grow up in central Pennsylvania. I grew up in central Pennsylvania. We used to do tours in Pottsville and Schuylkill County. There are slave tunnels underneath all of the houses, the big houses where the Yingling Mansion is, where everybody drinks Yingling beer, right? So if you go in under the Yingling Mansion, there's like slave tunnels. And when we were growing up in Pottsville, Pennsylvania, we learned about the slaves and about the critical role that our region in South Central Pennsylvania played for freeing the slaves and getting them on the Underground Railroad to Canada, all the stuff. And how about it's so many people who think that there was an actual train. Like, we don't even teach kids. Like, the Underground Railroad was not a train, you guys. It was not a real train. But people think that, right? Like, we stopped teaching kids, like, even the basics. So
because they thought they were going to learn it in schools.
Well, I'm saying we don't even teach that in school now, right?
Exactly.
Like, they're not even learning it.
On a state level, tens of millions of taxpayer dollars is going to Confederate statues and monuments. If we think about it, they have documented nearly 2,000 Confederate monuments across the U.S., many of which were installed to romanticize and glorify enslavement and oppose the civil rights movement. But there's very few public spaces that acknowledge slavery, racial terror, lynching, or the mass opposition to racial equality during the civil rights era.
The other thing too is, like, look at our history and look what where they send people, right? Like, how many African American public sculptors do you know? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we're not encouraging. That's a hard job.
That's a very specific group, but
like casting in
right.
bronze and casting in sculpture. Like, those are hard, tough jobs, right? But you don't see, black schools out here encouraging their young men to become sculptors, to cast in bronze, to be artists. That's some white people shit. I'm sorry, right? Like, people of privilege get to grow up and be an artist.
But
it is what it is,
and I was about to piggyback off of that. Being an artist and be able to live comfortably,
right,
is a form of privilege and affluence as well. Like,
absolutely.
If I can be this quote unquote starving artist and not really starve, but just go for my passion, and then my generational wealth fills in those gaps.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that is definitely a advantage. Gary, before we get to our next story, which is probably going to be our last story of the day. This is a good one that'll be brought to you by Lady L. So, Gary says, historically black churches are being pushed out by white corporations. This is a good thing. Shout out to Brown Grove Baptist Church, a historically black church in Virginia. Cherie says, but churches have been filling voids in our communities forever with just funding based on the congregation. And then she continues to say, the $20 million is for preserving black churches. This should help quash some of the building funds so the churches can go about doing the business of the church rather than drumming up dollars to keep the heat on. Exactly, the building fund. Every church got a building fund.
I know. I was wondering. I was like, well, America got a building fund too. I know America had a building fund.
Right.
Shoot, that's why. You know what? That's what the Cashapp and Venmo is.
Yeah.
The building fund. Right.
It's the road fund. It's the infrastructure.
Build back better. He put it in the name. Build back better. There you go.
How do you include? Yeah, they included it in the plan. And a part of Biden's Build Back Better plan, he will be taxing you in your Cash App.
If you know,
it's so stupid. The tax thing made me so mad too. I was listening to y'all talk about that on the way in here, and it's crazy. It's because the rich people write the laws, they write the loopholes, and so businesses can get away with not paying taxes, and it's too expensive to get their tax money from them because they hire big, fancy, expensive attorneys, and the government's not going to do that. And you know what? Somebody making $20,000 a year on a side hustle is not going to hire an attorney and fight. Right? Like, so it's easy money for them. Like, you follow the dollars and you know, right? These people are staying in power on the money. And those, the hundreds of billions of dollars that the rich people owe are never going to get paid. We can kiss that money goodbye because the laws were written so that they can have these tax easy loopholes. I know, like there's all kinds of dumb loopholes for privileged people, So I don't know how they're going to fix it. My thing was like, why can't everybody just have a 10% tax, whether you're rich or poor? Just take 10%. Then you really don't even need an IRS. You know what I mean? Right. Then you just need a calculator. So
now we're just paying tithes.
Yeah, it's just stupid, right?
Yes.
You got Muslims out here weighing their gold every year, acting crazy. We have to pay 2.5% of our excess. Well, they weigh stuff and then pay it, So it is what it is.
It is. Amen. Lady L, can you take us to what will be our last story of the day?
Yes. Gladly, sir, gladly. All right. So, of course, we all know there's always been some kind of disparity for black women in this country. We recently saw the U.S. employment rate drop for all workers, except black women, as well as documented that violence against black women has been undercovered by mainstream media forever. So it's no surprise that black women face a wealth gap in cities across the country. However, the Georgia Resilience and Opportunity Fund will focus strictly on helping black women rise. The fund will provide 650 black women across Georgia payments of $850 per month over the next 2 years, making it one of the biggest guaranteed income initiatives in the country. Some of the participants will receive payments monthly, while others will get a lump sum payment, according to ABC News. Along with this initiative, the city of Atlanta, or the real Wakanda, will also run its basic income program that will help 300 additional residents that are in poverty, and that will pay residents $500 for 12 months. Michelle Lockhart is a community advocate and member of the Old Fourth Ward Economic Security Task Force. The program is run by the Georgia Resilience and Opportunity Fund and is called In Her Hands. The initiative was initially brought to the forefront by the Atlanta City Council and Give Directly, a nonprofit cash assistance center. It was realized after discussion and surveys from people in black communities took a look at the causes of wealth disparity in the city, which is where they should always start. Too often, programs that are meant to help the black community are not brainstormed by people who are actually from the black community. The initiative will start with residents from the Old Fourth Ward in a neighborhood in East Atlanta where Martin Luther King Jr. was raised. But one of the things that may be cause for concern is that the program will not offer financial literacy courses or advice on how residents should use the money. So maybe the Luptons won't go to Virginia, but maybe we can go to hot Atlanta or the outside, because Atlanta's only giving $500 and the other places are $850. Either way, I think that this is a great idea. I also don't necessarily think it's a bad thing that the program will not offer financial literacy courses or give advice on how residents should use the money. That's a thing that government and entities have often tried to do is tell people how to spend their money, what to spend their money on. If I get $850 tag-free money and I want to spend it all on Jordans, that is what the old heads would say, MYOB. And I say that to you all, MYOB. I think that this is a great idea. Also, when you give people money, you're giving them leverage, you're giving them freedom, right? How can I focus on other parts of my life if I'm worried about my gas getting cut off? Or if I'm trying to figure out what am I going to do about my side hustle to get enough money because now I'm concerned about the Cashapp and the IRS, but I need just enough money to pay some other things. And it's a snowball effect. And I love this because, having been to Atlanta and visited some of these neighborhoods, like where Dr. King was raised and everything, these are beautiful communities.
Yes, they are.
They're not what we see up here in the North as like a hood or a ghetto. Like, they are some of the most beautiful communities I've ever seen. Big 4 or 5 bedroom homes filled with black families.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to this.
And the cost for a home down there is way cheaper than the cost of a home. I just want to say, like, you compare the cost for if you're spending $400,000 on a house down there, you're getting almost a mansion.
And that's that's the most frustrating thing, especially with the story that we talked about yesterday with black people getting denied 84% of the time when it comes to mortgages, especially in those southern states. Like Georgia was on that list, the Carolinas were on that list, Florida, Texas, and everything. Louisiana. Right, and this is places that we actually want to move to and build our big homes and everything like that. Because just like you said, $400K goes a lot farther down there than it does up here.
The information tells you different.
I ain't gonna hold you. Got the Sarge thinking about a whole move. I want a mansion, bro.
Well, just as long as you're here every Monday through Thursday at 8 a.m.
Don't worry, I have the
Well,
private,
let us know if you want us to move TCP in the morning to Hotlanta.
Well, hey.
I love this idea. I hate the cold.
I ain't gonna hold you.
Let's do it. Let's change the name to Wake Up Atlanta. Wake Up Atlanta. Wake up, Lana.
Well, just wake Lana.
Wake Lana. Call it Woke Lana. There you go.
Yep.
But what up, though?
But I absolutely love this. The article refers to black residents in Atlanta. It says that black residents in Atlanta are 4 times as likely to be living under the federal poverty line than their white neighbors, with 46% of black households earning below $25,000 a year. And this is according to a recent research by the Old Fourth Ward Economy Security Task Force. So some 38% of black women and 26% of black men in the city are living in poverty, compared to 8% of white women and 5% of white men in the same city.
So you're looking at the South, right? And you look at that demographic, and this is the absolute current state picture of what generational wealth looks like in the South versus in the North, right? Like, if you have people who were free for a significant amount of time that were able to leave their kids, even a little something, a $25,000 house, something that those folks were able to build off of, you're talking about a system now. This is generations of systemic wealth that was not given to African American communities versus up north, where there's a few folks that were able to come up because they were able to capitalize on that generational wealth. And the same thing is going to keep happening when these nursing homes keep trying to take houses from old people who don't have money. They take their houses, and now that person doesn't have generational wealth to share with their children. The government takes it, you know what I mean, on the back end, on the very old end. So that makes sense. That makes sense, because you're talking about structural racism that's keeping people in a way for a long, long time. So I'm glad they're doing something for the ladies.
Right. Like, this is 46%. Like, this is basically half of the population down there. And then it makes me think, like, okay, of that 46%, possibly, and this is just me guessing here, but possibly, let's say 90 to 98% of that 46% that's in poverty are people that are lived there, born there, raised there. Yeah. So then that 46% isn't the transplants coming in.
Right.
They're on the other side.
That's the 54% killing it.
Exactly.
Right.
And
or above the poverty line, at least.
Right.
Let's not say killing it, but yeah.
And we're all operating under this guise that, oh, you go down to Atlanta and you become successful and everything like that, and that may not always be the case.
Atlanta may feel the same way that, black people feel about immigrants.
Yeah.
Look, 33 cities in America have been doing the UBI. All right, Los Angeles, out in California just passed its UBI, where they're going to provide around $1,000 a month, primarily to young people who are transitioning out of the state's foster care system. But they're going to be giving money out. They're going to have a universal basic income to residents in Los Angeles who are at or below the federal poverty line. So we're seeing more and more people do it. Yeah. All right, we wrote in the comments, Andrew Yang kind of began this with a saying that America should get $1,600 a month. Every American, every citizen should get $1,600 a month, and that's where we're at.
Right.
Like, we should be there. We've been paying enough into our government. How's our government making so much money? It's a $1 trillion business every year, yet we continue to pay into it, and we don't see no benefits from it.
Right.
There's no free health care. There's no free schooling. What are the benefits? Living in America, you have to what? You got to pay to live here. You got to pay to work here. You got to pay to do this. What are we getting back?
Right.
It's not
America
what you can do
back,
for your
right.
country. It's what your country can do for you.
You heard him.
And the poorer you are, the more expensive money gets.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
That's the thing that kills me, right? Like, if you have a 780 credit and a 6-figure job, you can get money for free. I can get a loan right now for $200,000 unsecured with those kinds of numbers, right? And then go start a business and then go do something else and then go do something else. But if I have a 580 credit score and make $50,000 a year and have a lot of energy and gumption and want to work hard and have a great business plan and a great idea, no way do I get my business off the ground. No way is that ever going to happen for me, right? Because I'm looking at a 24% interest rate that I can't afford.
Right.
If you're poor, this country finds a way to keep you poor,
it's expensive
right?
to be
And that's
poor.
part of it. If you have money, it's easy to get money,
Right.
right? And it's easy to get more money real cheap if you have good credit and you have money already. What's hard, I mean, it's like 10 times, it's exponentially harder to come up from poverty to actually achieving wealth versus to come up from the middle and get somewhere.
Right.
It's crazy.
Gary says, so they will not offer guidance on how to use the money. Some will
Right.
continue on with generational curses, buying the baby daddy Jordans just to get him to come around, repeating the pattern of behavior. Domestic violence, then makeup, sex, then domestic violence again. Then she hits Uncle Gary up for money. I think that the money should come with a life coach. Broken down pastors are starting to salivate for that money. That's a point. I mean, that's a fair point. But also, it's one of those things. Let these people do what they want with their money. Like if you are going to take that money and buy some Jordans, you're going to a local vendor. So this money is being infused back into the community.
Yeah.
Listen,
you're
$50 allows me to now pay my rent with my other money.
right.
You understand what I'm saying? Like it balances out somewhere. I understand
Right.
what he's saying, but the bills are still going to get paid. I just now have the advantage of doing this also.
Right, and that extra money, it's going to go to what? Eating at restaurants, and that is infusing money into your local economy. I'm going to go out to the bar maybe twice a month or 3 times a month versus one or none because I have a little extra money. I'm going to go hit the town with my boys, with my girls, and everything. And I'm going to go down to this boutique that I always pass, but I never have the playable money for,
I still think that's short-sighted, right? Like, I think that one of the things we all do, and I'm saying this for sure because my dad is the most GFAB idiot you have ever met in your life. My dad grew up, didn't have shoes till he was in high school. Like, he walked barefoot in the jungle, right? So he came to this country. If it's shiny, my dad's buying it. If it's on TV and Joe Montana said it was a good idea, he bought a Fitness One, crazy thing because he thought it was a good idea. If you give my dad money, he'll buy anything. He buys nonsense. He doesn't think straight, right? Like, because he's never had this opportunity before, and he gets excited, and I love it because I'm the same stupid way, right? Like, I love to stunt and if I get a little bit of money and I'm gonna go buy something fun, right? My mom comes from wealth. My mom comes from crazy ancient India Taj Mahal wealth, right? She doesn't spend a dime. She won't spend 10 cents. You give her extra anything, she puts it away. She understands the difference between having $5 and having $500 and having $5 million. I don't understand that difference. My dad doesn't understand that difference. And what we need to do is start building that mentality in the communities. It goes back to the same thing with the poppy shops. When you hang around with a lot of immigrants, especially Asian immigrants, they cheat. They don't spend money on anything. But when you see what they have in assets and wealth and what they've accumulated and where they can send their kids to school and all of that, that's the difference, right? Like, I'm trying to get $50 and go do something today versus someone else who's like trained. I get this $50, I know where it goes. It goes right there because that's my long-term plan. And we come from communities where we don't have long-term plans because no one ever told us there was a long-term, right? You're talking about the average life expectancy for black males in the city under 30. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there is no long-term plan because there's no long-term. Now that you know you have a long-term, now we got to start educating people around that and saying like, hey, no, look, pay attention because this money can grow and grow and grow. You have $20 today, that 20 could be 2,000 literally in 5 years.
Yeah, but you have to teach them young because we're coming from, when you talk about generational trauma, and Gary had mentioned, passing on a generational curse. The first time black people had a chance to make money and have some money, the government stole it with the Freedmen's Bank. And we learned about this, and we know now that the government hasn't even paid back half of that money that turned up missing. So after generations of black people having that experience, what then happens? We turn around, we buy items that we need. My dad calls it money burning a hole in your pocket.
Right. Same.
So like you get money and as soon as you get it, you got to spend it and everything like that. But if you think about it from the perspective of slavery and being out, when you think about it in those terms, I mean, the first time I get money and it's my money and it's my money for me to have and you tell me to trust you with it. Okay, I'm going to trust you. But moving forward from now on, I'm going to take care of my stuff. I'm going to take care of my stuff. I'm going to handle my business. I'm going to buy that coat. I'm going to buy those shoes. I'm going to purchase this and purchase that because now I can see what happened to my money. Oh, where my money went? Oh, well, you know what? I got all those shoes in there. Oh, well, I got this over there. Oh, yeah, I did go grocery shopping. But when those black people lost their money when they gave it to the government, they had nothing to show for it. It's not like, I put all this money in savings and now I have $200,000. I have no money. I have no money. So now how do you train people to now trust a system that they've learned not to trust? Many Americans are still using payday loans or the some kind of, not just a debit card, but a prepaid debit card, going to a check cashing place to cash your check, not even knowing that you could just go to the bank that issued the check, right? Little pieces of information like that are so basic that they don't even have the knowledge of. So like, how are we getting them those pieces of information? Like, there are just so many things that need to be done for and within our communities that, again, in one of the articles it talked about it, we got people making decisions about black and brown folks who aren't black and brown and never even lived in the community. So it's not even like we share an economic status.
Right.
We don't even share that, and you're going to come in here and tell me what we need.
It's the same thing with healthcare. We're in the struggle right now. People that don't have healthcare backgrounds are telling healthcare what to do, how to live, how to act. I'm like, what? You haven't even been in here on this unit, and you're going to tell me? Come on now, Mr. Politician, give me a break. Like, and it's that thing, it's that entitlement that people have, that if you have money, if you have power, if you have authority, you have the right to tell me what to do. In every regard, and that is not the case. That is simply not the case. It's still America. I'm still free, and I can do what I want, But that's like part of it, right? You got these people out here that are now bought into the system that these people have power, we do not have power, and we're just going to keep going because that's how the system works. No, buck the system, buck the system, change the system.
Right.
Yep.
Well, hey, thank you guys for tuning in. Ruby, it's been great. Thank you for coming in on this Tuesday. You know, we missed you these past couple Tuesdays.
I know. I've been covering a COVID unit. Thankfully, I don't get COVID, so it's a whole thing. Every time a therapist is out in another building, then I get to run around. So last week I was in York. The week before, I was up in another part of the city. So now I'm back in downtown Lancaster, so I will be back on Tuesdays.
Thank you. Welcome back. We'll see you next week. Lady L, you want to take us out?
Yes, guys. Hey, listen, don't forget tonight, come back right here to this page to tune in to the Day of Racial Healing. We have partnered with one of our most favorite guests, the Diversity and Equity Inclusion Director from the state, Ms. Venus Ricks, along with Millersville University Office of Intercultural Student Affairs and the Lancaster YWCA TCP Network will be streaming a Day of Racial Healing, a virtual community prayer and discussion on how do we move forward in our state. But yeah, so we will see you back here tonight at 7 p.m. for that live stream. And other than that, I'll see you on Friday as we go out and support our Black lady doctors for week 3 of the Health Equity Now Music Festival. So come on down to Crispus Attucks, get your vaccination, get your booster shot, or just come and get a plate from Soulfully Famous as she will be serving platters again for week number 3. Health Equity Now, Vaxathon. Over to the dust.
Well, it was another great show once again. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, baby dolls, baby boys, prince and princesses, queens and kings, pimps, hoes, and everything's in between. I like to leave y'all with something a little special. Success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. You are the artist of your own life. Don't hand the paintbrush to someone else. Create your own masterpiece and live with it.
Was that everything? Oh, all right. I was expecting something longer.
Bro, he usually come with his follow-up to the thing.
I got.
All right. Love it. Folks, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. This was another TCP in the morning. For those that are asking me, what are you drinking on air? What is that?
Liquor. Mind your business.
Folks, this is vegan juice provided by Chase Thomas. I will have him on sometime soon so that we can talk about it. But yeah, I utilize these for breakfast. It's a nice energetic meal on air. You know, so yeah. Typically don't do that kind of advertising or anything like that.
Without a payment.
Right.
Free?
Yeah.
I'm like, you
I mean, but Chase is the homie. I'll do him a solid this one time.
Does he have any meat flavored ones?
Huh?
Does he have any meat flavored ones?
Well, you'll have to ask him. So folks, again, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Here's a business idea for you before we go. Rent a spoon.
Sit down, Cole.
See you tomorrow.
This is Assad. This is your Penny.com Ultimate. In part 2 of our healthcare terminology, we begin with the phrase out-of-pocket maximum, which is the most money in the form of deductibles, co-pays, and co-insurances you can pay each year, regardless of how much medical care you need. Do you need prescription medication? Well, Penny.com has provided a convenient way for you to look at the plans you are considering to see how much your prescription could cost. Network is also a key term you will continuously see while navigating Penny.com. Your network is compiled of healthcare providers and facilities your insurer has contracted with. Do you want to include your doctor in your plan? No worries. You can use Penny's provider directory to see if your provider is included in your plan. Signing up for healthcare coverage can be intimidating. Luckily,